This starts part 5 of the garage construction process. Today they put up some forms and expansion joints for the concrete pour next month. The final grading on the left side of the garage was done by the track loader. The 3 mil vapor barrier was installed over the gravel inside the garage. This passed slab inspection on April 28th. Here you can see the exterior coach lights, as well as the side porch light were wired. This is the sub panel installed on the left side of the garage. As we follow the yellow Romax 12-2 wire up the wall and over the top plate and across the trusses, it continues down to the first outlet next to the window. Then down to the left side of the rear wall. After this, it goes to the right wall outlet. Then on to the right wall window outlet. Back up and over the truss to the center for the garage door opener outlet. And that's the last connection on this circuit. Now the white Romax 14-2 wire is for the light circuits, and there is a 3-gang box here for the switches. The electrician is temporarily looping the wire in 4 locations for the overhead LED lights. Later in the video we'll see how that works. Now we will follow the white cable to the front for the right coach light, across the top of the garage door, down to the left coach light, back up and down the top plate to the sub panel. The painter worked on the first coat of paint on the exterior hardy plank siding. Then he used a mortar paint on the foundation walls on the side and rear. On the next day, the painter had finished up on the second coat, and also worked on the front brick. The electrician came out today to dig the trench for the service line from the house to the garage. It's roughly 50 feet long and about 18 to 24 inches in depth. Here is where it meets the side of the garage. And in the distance is where it will be connected to the corner of the house. The electrician also ran the Romex 6.3 cable for the 240 volt NEMA 1450 outlet to the center of the rear wall. Here is a view of the corner of the house where he started the conduit from the side wall junction box. 2-gauge wire cable was put into the trench. It ends at the junction box on the side of the garage. You can also see the 2 grounding rods have been installed. Today I did a video run along the length of the trench. You can see that there's now conduit along the whole length of the trench. Bare wire could have been used at 24 inches deep, but I wanted to have conduit for better protection and easier wire replacement in the future. The rough-in electrical inspection passed for the sub-panel, ground rods, outlets, lights, and 240 volt outlet. Here we are at the front right of the house where the electrical service comes in from the street and goes into the house and the HVAC units. This is a work in progress for the line going from the main box to the attic. Considering the alternatives for installation, this was the easiest and least obstructive way to get power to the garage. Running along the outside wall would have had issues with the crawl space and basement doors. The 2-gauge wire goes through the attic, within conduit, and is attached to the plywood floor decking. This shot shows the junction box on the house near the trench as it goes up to the attic. I will be painting all of the conduit to match the house and will go a long way towards making it less visible. The light fixtures were installed for the 2 coach lights. as well as the side porch light. Also, the framing passed inspection today. Today we see that the outlets have been installed for the NEMA 1450 240 volt circuit on the back wall. Above we see the completed ceiling lights. Two 8-foot LED lights are hardwired to a junction box. This will be modified later with an extension box when the ceiling is finished with sheetrock. Next there is the outlet for the garage door opener, and then the second box for the other two ceiling lights. These four 8-foot long LED lights pump out 7,500 lumens each with a color temperature of 5000 K or daylight white. Here's a quick test of the outlets. I got 124 volts on the 5 15 amp outlets. And on the NEMA 1450, I got 248 volts. The bank of 3 light switches are done. The first switch controls the front coach lights. The second switch controls the porch light. And the third controls the 4 ceiling lights. I could add more lights if needed, but this seems like enough light for now. The garage builder does not finish the interior of the garage. I will be contracting someone to do the sheetrock on the ceiling and the front wall of the garage. I have something in mind for the walls, and that will be a future video. This is a view of the sub panel with the 50 amp breaker, a 15 amp breaker for lights, and 20 amp breaker for outlets. I will be adding a separate circuit for a refrigerator and a second NEMA 1450 outlet next to the front sub panel. About a foot of dirt was placed on top of the buried conduit. A red warning tape is run across the entire length of the trench as required by local code. Then the rest of the trench was filled in. That marks the end of part 5. The next video will cover the concrete slab and driveway pour and installing the garage door hardwire.